At least 19 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes on Nasser Hospital in Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis, including 4 journalists.
Russian attacks against Ukraine killed at least 2 people and injured 33 others over the past day, Ukrainian authorities said on Monday.
Some National Guard units patrolling Washington at the direction of US President Donald Trump have now started carrying firearms.
At least 19 people were killed by an Israeli strike on the Nasser Hospital in the southern city of Khan Yunis in Gaza. Among those killed were journalists and media workers for major outlets, including Al Jazeera, the Associated Press, Reuters, and NBC. The AP says one of its freelancers, Maryam Abu Da'a, was killed by the strike. She had been working for the U.S. news agency covering the latest from the ground since Israel launched its offensive on the enclave 22 months ago. Al Jazeera has confirmed its journalist Mohammed Salama's death. It's another major blow for the Doha-based broadcaster who lost their correspondent Anas al-Sharif just weeks ago in a deliberate Israeli strike on his tent earlier this month. Reuters confirmed that its camera operator, Hussam al-Masri, was also killed in the attack. NBC did not immediately comment on the death of its journalist in the Strip, Muaz Abu Taha, whose death has also been confirmed. It also comes after a joint statement in July between the AP, Reuters, AFP, and BBC News, which urged Israeli authorities to protect journalists in Gaza. The Israel-Hamas war has been one of the bloodiest conflicts for journalists in recent times. The Committee to Protect Journalists says at least 192 Palestinian journalists have been killed so far.
At least 6 people were killed and dozens more injured after Israeli airstrikes hit the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. Israel's military said it struck Yemen's Azar and Hizaz power plants, calling them a significant electricity supply facility for military activities. Residents of the capital said they heard explosions close to a closed military academy and the presidential palace. The attack comes days after the Houthi rebels fired a missile towards Israel that its military described as the first cluster bomb that rebels had launched at it since 2023. The Houthis have launched missiles and drones towards Israel and targeted ships in the Red Sea for more than 22 months, saying they were attacking out of solidarity with Palestinians and the ongoing war in Gaza. Deputy head of the Houthi media office, Nasruddin Ammar, said attacks on Israel would continue until military operations in Gaza stopped.
Russian attacks against Ukraine killed 2 people and injured 33 others over the past day, regional authorities said on Monday. Ukraine's Air Force reported that around 76 out of 104 drones, including Shahed-type attack drones and decoys, launched by Russia overnight were downed. The attack was part of a large-scale assault on the border areas of the Sumy region, local officials said.
12 ночі почалось. Дома ми спали, а то потім почалися прильоти. І от на задній двір якраз пряме попадання. І зразу криша зайнялася, вікна полетіли, ми двері повиривали, ми єлі вискочили. Телефон згорів, паспорт згорів. Документи, все в хаті вигоріли, абсолютно все, не осталося нічого.
The attacks came as Ukraine marked its declaration of independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. Meanwhile, Ukrainian authorities on Monday claimed Russia has lost over 1 million troops in Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale invasion. According to the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces, the number includes 870 casualties that Russian forces suffered over the past day.
Some National Guard units patrolling Washington at the direction of US President Donald Trump have now started carrying firearms. A US Defense Department official said some units on certain missions, including those patrolling the city to establish a law enforcement presence, would be armed with handguns or rifles. Thousands of National Guard and federal law enforcement officers are now patrolling the district streets, drawing sporadic protests from locals. The development in Trump's efforts to override the law enforcement authority of state and local governments comes as he's considering expanding the deployments to other US cities like Baltimore, Chicago, and New York. He has repeatedly described these cities as dangerous and filthy, and made comments discussing his desire to expand his use of military force to target local crime.
A search and rescue mission has been set in motion after a Russian athlete went missing during the Bosphorus race in Istanbul on Sunday. The swimmer failed to complete the 6.5-kilometre annual race from Istanbul's Asian shore to the European side. The athlete went missing despite 100 vessels monitoring swimmers during the race. At its end, the route was scanned for stray competitors, but none were found. According to information obtained by the police, the missing athlete arrived in Istanbul on Sunday and checked into a hotel. In a statement, the Olympic Committee said it was deeply saddened by the disappearance of one of our athletes during the race. More than 2,800 swimmers took part in Sunday morning's competition, facing strong currents and choppy waves in one of the world's leading open water races.
Almost 70 inflatable boats have been seized at the Kapitan Andreevo border checkpoint in Bulgaria since the beginning of this year. For the second year in a row now, Bulgarian customs officers, at the request of the United Kingdom, have been stopping inflatable boats at the border with Turkey. Those boats are used for trafficking illegal migrants across the English Channel.
Установено е, че подобни вид лодки се използват от престъпни организации, които се занимават с нелегален трафик на мигранти през Ла-Манша.
The boats are often delivered in multiple shipments, carrying different parts, and are then assembled together by the receiver.
Върват с други пратки към кухи фирми към Европа, които са без установени адреси и се разтоварят някъде в Европа и след това се събират лодките, двигателите, поясите.
Bulgarian authorities say the boats are produced in Turkey by unknown companies and are used for the sole purpose of migrant trafficking. In 2024, nearly 37,000 people arrived in the UK using these boats. In a bid to control the influx of immigrants, London is funding Bulgarian authorities to increase the odds of those boats being captured before they ever hit the sea.
Освен това, ни е дадена безвъзмездна помощ в размер на 600 000 лева в вид на оборудване, инструменти, ендоскопи, газанализатори, подемна техника.
Bulgarian customs officers say their cooperation with the UK has saved thousands of migrant lives who tragically die each year while attempting to cross the channel. A UK analysis says Sophia's work has also enabled them to inflict over 18 million euros in damages on organized crime groups. For the first time in over a decade, snow unexpectedly coated the Polish Tatra Mountains in August. It happened as the temperature in the mountainous region dropped to negative 2.9 degrees Celsius overnight into Sunday. The snow was accompanied by fog and strong winds as cold Arctic air moved into Poland.
Five, four, three, two, one, ignition, and liftoff. Go.
SpaceX on Sunday launched a commercial resupply services CRS-33 mission to the International Space Station from Cape Canaveral in Florida, the Dragon spacecraft's 50th time. Following stage separation, the first stage landed on the A shortfall of Gravitas drone ship stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. According to SpaceX officials, the Dragon spacecraft is expected to dock on Monday autonomously after an approximate 28-hour flight. The CRS-33 will then deliver around 2,268 kilograms of food, supplies, and experiments to astronauts on board the ISS. Some 50 different scientific studies critical for future human space exploration are to be conducted on the mission. The Dragon spacecraft is expected to return to Earth no earlier than December.
Orbit insertion.
The trade agreement between the European Union and the United States could have consequences for road safety in Europe. This is the warning issued by NGOs following the joint declaration published last week by the two partners. For automobiles, the text refers to mutual recognition of each other's standards. However, the associations point out that safety standards differ widely between European and American cars.
We've now got technologies like automated emergency braking, we have pedestrian protection tests, we have lane keeping assistance systems. Those are just 3 examples of technologies which are mandatory in Europe and not mandatory in the US.
With this trade agreement, Washington hopes to export more US standard vehicles to Europe. The NGO's other concern is the effect this compromise will have on manufacturers in Europe. The various manufacturers could be tempted to denounce a situation of unfair competition and criticize European regulations.
All the other manufacturers, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Koreans, and the other European manufacturers who produce in Europe will be saying, well, if they have to meet only the US standard and we have to meet the European standard, it's not going to be fair. There's going to be unfair competition, and then there'll just be huge pressure to level down Europe's own standards.
In support of these concerns, NGOs say that over the last few decades, road accidents have increased in the US, while the higher safety standards in Europe are forcing accident numbers down.